when I go into the studio, I don't touch any equipment. Now, you might find that a bit kind of strange, but it took me years to actually come to terms with that. In the 90s, I did so many remixes, and I put myself under a lot of pressure, being in like big studios with, you know, musicians, engineers, programmers, and thinking, well, I'm not actually like playing an instrument here. And it took me quite a few years to understand what my role is in the studio. My role in the studio is a producer. I'm there to direct the session, to come in with the creative ideas, to make sure that those creative ideas are actually being transferred onto tape, you know, being recorded, and actually gelling that together. And having my creative ideas, whether it's writing a song or coming up with a piece of music, supplying loops and examples of sounds, bringing that together, gelling it together and making it happen. I'm a producer. I'm not actually a programmer. So I fully acknowledge the role that I have in the studio, and that is of a producer. And there are a number of people who are producers that don't actually touch instruments, but have the direction to direct sessions, bring it all together, organise it, and make sure that the end result is as good as it can be. And that's taken me years actually to actually acknowledge that and be comfortable with it. At the moment, there's such a wealth of music in dance music out there, and labels are being very, very, very picky, and the way of approach now has changed. Whereas, in many respects, whereas labels would sign stuff immediately, there seems to be more of a shift towards labels signing stuff after DJs have gone out there, played it, and then that kind of filters down. You know, somebody will give a track to DJ A, who gives it to B, C, and then it kind of filters down through the whole network, and then a label would pick up, well, Roger Sanchez is playing it, Danny Tenaglia is playing it, Carl Cox is playing it, for example, Sasha's playing it, great, okay, that's a good track, we'll go for it. I think, you know, obviously because of the economics, the economic times we live in, and the decline in music sales. Music sales are okay, but it has declined. Then record companies have had to like adjust to that. So that has kind of put a few restrictions on just signing tracks, of hearing them in an office, which has made life difficult for a lot of producers, I think, because it's about getting it out there, networking it to labels, of course. Yeah, you have to get your music into a label, but whether they actually sit down and listen to it is another matter, because most labels are overwhelmed. You know, stuff that comes through on email and downloads to listen to, you know, your music can get lost in that those waves of music, and a lot of A&R people are just too overwhelmed by it all. You know, I talk to people and they are overwhelmed, and they just switch off their inboxes, and you know, they'll filter it down. So, you know, out of 100 emails, there might be 10 tracks that are good, but they'll go for just certain key tracks and known names and what have you. So that also puts a bit of a squeeze on new up-and-coming producers. But I think at the end of the day, it's about, you know, creating your sound, homing your sound, making sure that what you've got there is as good as finished, then getting it out there, getting it to DJs. You know, whatever it takes, get it to DJs. And a better way of getting it to a DJ is not just sending it to that DJ's inbox, is to actually go out there and meet that DJ. That's a good way of getting your music heard, and you know, there's many people that have done that and apply that approach to their business of producing, and I think that direct approach that is what sets people apart and can actually fast track your production skills. As long as you've actually got those production skills and you've produced something that's playable in a club or on the radio, then those DJs that you've given, you know, that memory stick or that CD to, are going to pick up on that all the same. But yes, of course, you know, go down the traditional route, but don't expect, you know, overnight success and having your music signed up to labels. It's a difficult ball game out there, getting stuff signed up generally.